We're going to talk about retiring early, and it's one of those things when you get to retirement. I think we'd all love to have this, right? You wake up when you want, you travel when you really feel like going somewhere. You truly savor every day, but you're on your own schedule. You're not on anybody else's schedule. You don't have to do this. You don't have to get up, set the alarm, whatever. You're retired. Now, to be able to retire early, which to me, early, Mitch, I think the average age of retiree is about 65, and it's probably because Medicare kicks in then. Mm-hmm. But if I'm going to retire at 56, 57, 58, even 60, there's certainly health challenges, but what goes in, how do we even know if we have enough to be able to retire early? How do you help people figure that out?
Yeah, well, we use a software that really will dial in your numbers. What's your Social Security going to be? When are you thinking of taking? Obviously, you're not taking it prior to 62. So if you're going to retire ahead of that time, we've got to bridge that gap until you can get to 62 in retirement, Social Security retirement age. There's other factors like you mentioned, healthcare. So it's baking all those numbers in and accounting for those costs that you're going to have to incur until you can get the Medicare or until you can get a pension or a Social Security and so on. And if you've got money in a 401k, taking advantage of the rule of 55, where you can access that money prior to 59 and a half without the penalty. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into that. But really, it's just about having that conversation and talking about what retirement looks like for you, right? Some people it's, I'm never going to retire. Some people it's, hey, I want to get retired as soon as I can and have freedom and maybe do something on the side, but do it on my own terms and not have to punch the clock every day.
So at the end of the day, I would think, and I know when people walk through your process and the retirement of steel and income, investment taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, Social Security, Medicare, all those decisions, at the end of the day, it's really about income, isn't it? I mean, we need guaranteed income, I would think. I mean, you go back to the three-legged stool of my grandparents here in the 70s and 80s, basically. It was, the pension, Social Security, and their savings. There's a three-legged stool. Well, I don't have the three-legged stool. My third leg is off. You do have that because you do have your NFL pension. So you have a little leg up on most because of the pension. I think people that have a pension are a little bit ahead of the game. But for those that don't have it, I would think retiring early is maybe even a little. Well, you retire early, I suppose you get less pension though too.
Well, the thing about a pension is it's mailbox money, right? It's going to keep showing up. You don't have to worry about it. You know it's going to pay you the rest of your life. And while a lot of America doesn't have a pension, there are ways to create your own pension, right? And we do that a lot of times using income annuity products. And people hear annuities and they think, oh, geez, I heard annuities are bad. Forget what it's called. What does it do for you, right? And there's good and bad of everything in the world. But there are annuities that are really good for creating income. And when I say really good, I mean creating proportionately more income than you can safely take out of your traditional stock bond accounts, okay? So forget what it's called and what does it do for you. You can call it a cow. If it produces more income for me in retirement, I'm going to buy that cow. And I think that's important because, like you said, income is the cornerstone of a retirement plan. So, we do use a combination of different strategies and products and ways to get people where they need to be.
We're talking about retiring early. Well, then you better look at your RMD monies down the road because taxes could still be a huge deal for you. If you'd like the Roth Blueprint offer that Mitch and the team at Mitch Lyons Wealth can offer you, just text Blueprint. They'll get a hold of you. How does that play out? If we text Blueprint and it's your Roth Blueprint offer, how does that play out?
Yeah, so a lot of people have heard of a Roth conversion, but maybe they're not sure, hey, what does that look like? I pay the taxes now, but gosh, nobody likes to pay taxes, so I'm just going to keep kicking that can down the road. What this analysis shows you is exactly what you'll pay over your lifetime in taxes if you do nothing, and what it might look like if you do start taking strategic conversions of your traditional IRA. We've all been sold this bill of goods, Mark, that we put money into the 401k or the IRA or 403b. We save on taxes now, and we're going to pay taxes at a lesser rate in the future. What people are finding is that they're not in a lower tax bracket later. They've lost deductions in retirement. They're at the same, or sometimes in some cases even higher tax bracket, or especially if one of the spouses passes and now you're paying a single filer's rate. So the game changes, and it's kind of, the finish line got pulled away from us. All of a sudden it got extended because we're going to end up paying more. So the Roth Blueprint is simply an analysis we do for free. It entails a 10-minute call, really, just to get the information that we need to plug that in for you. We can jump on a Zoom call. We'll walk you right through and show you the baseline. Hey, if you do nothing, here's what you're looking at. If you start doing these strategic conversions and how to do them optimally, you don't do it all at once and throw yourself into the highest bracket in 1 year. You do them strategically over time, and we'll show you the optimal way to do that and what that would look like for you. And if that makes sense to you, we can talk further. But it's just a simple analysis, and it'll give you it's a math problem. It's not my opinion. It's math.
Yeah. So and Roth blueprints or the Roth world makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. It does not make sense for everyone. That's why you talk with a team like Mitch Lyons Wealth before you do it, and so you don't do it the wrong way. Because you've certainly seen people do this the wrong way, I would imagine.
Oh, sure. Every situation's different, and everybody has to look at their circumstances, right? Sometimes maybe it makes sense to convert part of it because maybe you recognize you're not going to spend it all, right? Hey, I'm just going to leave this to the kids. Well, leaving it to the kids isn't really a tax efficient tool. You're going to leave it to your kids probably when they're in their peak earning years. They're going to pay a higher rate than you would have if you had just let some of the air out of the tax balloon along the way with conversions. So if you're looking to get money to loved ones or the next generation, Roth conversions can be a great way to do that and do it a lot more tax efficiently.
We're talking about retiring early. Well, I would imagine part of that, if you're going to retire early, hopefully your debt situation is under control. It doesn't mean you have to be debt free probably, but debt can't be an overwhelming issue, I would think, if you're going to retire early.
No, I mean, consumer debt, right? I mean, a mortgage, if you've got a good rate on a mortgage, there's no reason to pay off a 3% loan if you can invest that money, at anything above 3%, right? So, and we have methods to do that. So that's not bad debt. The 20% credit card that maybe you're running a balance on, that doesn't make a lot of sense because that's the same as earning 20% on an investment. If you just pay that thing off, you effectively made 20%. So there's good debt, bad debt. And it's important to be cognizant of that. And again, as we look at that, as we plan out people's retirements, we take that into account. Eventually, maybe the first 8 to 10 years you're still paying on your mortgage, but that's paid off. Okay, great. That's not income you need any longer. We can make adjustments in your plan and optimize that and put as much in your pocket after tax as we can.
I would think the biggest part of retiring early, and we're talking like, okay, I think the average age of retirees today is about 65, and it's because of Medicare is a big part of that. Because you can start Social Security at 62. You're going to get probably 30% less than you would if you had waited till full retirement age, but you do have that opportunity. But Medicare is one of the big issues. Healthcare is one of the big issues. It's not Medicare, it's healthcare. So if you retire at 58, now you've got 7 years before. Hopefully, Mitch, your wife's still working so you can stay on her health plan. That works out. But health, I mean, that's the big part of this. If you retire early, what happens to healthcare?
Yeah, you've got to have a plan there, right? If you're on the company plan and you cease to be with the company, they're not just going to, typically going to keep paying that for you until you hit Medicare. So yeah, that's definitely a cost that you're going to have to incur. You're going to have to come out of pocket to pay that. Taking care of yourself is a big part of that, right? Trying to be as healthy as you can. That's critical to living a long, healthy life and successful retirement. But you plan for it ahead of time, right? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. And it's the same thing with planning for healthcare. Don't keep kicking the can down the road and thinking about it. Let's talk and let's do something about it and put a plan in motion to help you get where you want to be.